Hey dude, what's up? Evan from Stock Music Musician, and today I've got a really helpful video on the top 5 mistakes I see people making when they try and sell or create stock music. Now, these are mistakes I've seen over my years of teaching people how to make music, reviewing their songs, giving coaching, and actually I've made all of these mistakes many times over. So you're going to want to be sure to watch all 5 because any one of these could mess up not just your single song opportunity, but really your whole approach to the industry and how much joy you get out of it and how much money you'll ultimately make out of it. Before we go farther though, I want to let you know that if you're interested in learning how to get started licensing your music, I've got a totally free 5-day guide that you can sign up for at the link below. I'll show you exactly what you need to do, from the best site to sign up for to the outline of how to make songs and how to get paid for them. All of that down below on that link. It's really digestible, no fat, just actionable tips so you can start licensing your music and start getting paid for it, and getting your music in movies, on TV, and starting to feel like a real honest to goodness musician. And if you like that, maybe you'll like the intro even more. Okay, so the first big issue I see with musicians that are getting started with stock music, or even some that are quite advanced, is that they don't pay attention to song structure. Song structure is essential to stock music because you're using music to tell a story, and generally speaking with stock music you don't have the benefit of a vocal track to tell the story for you, so the music has to do it. And on top of that, really the structure of the song has to do it, because the editors that use your song are going to expect it to move in certain places. So there are, just like in a play, there's supposed to be 3 acts. There should be a narrative arc. There needs to be a narrative arc to your stock music. You need to have a very strong and clear intro that immediately sets the tone and grabs attention. You need to have verses and choruses that come, every 30 seconds or so. It's going to depend a little bit on the song. You're going to need smooth and exciting transitions between those sections. You're going to need a hard, clear button ending. Basically, you got to end on like a period, not on a ... No fade outs ever. There's a lot of stuff you can do and a lot of fun you can have within this structure, but you need to have structure in your songs, and you need to really be sure that you're thinking with the song structure in mind, because if your song just wanders around or doesn't hit the beats often enough, it's just gonna totally fall apart, just like some movies I'm sure you've seen where you lose interest in the middle, or the ending doesn't make any sense or comes out of nowhere. The second point is, and I hear this all the time, and this is the hardest thing for me personally, is genre consistency. If you're making a song in a specific genre, it just has to stay in that genre the whole time. I like, songs that like maybe start over here and they do something weird, like A Day in the Life by the Beatles, where it's, you just got everything going on there, and you're showing off your songwriting and all your chops and all of that. But with stock music, if it's going to be a rock song, it needs to, from the first intro chord to the ending hit, they all need to be consistently that type of rock. It doesn't matter what genre you make. I think that's a common misconception. If you're making Celtic death metal or, bagpipe K-pop, it doesn't matter. There is a market for everything, but it needs to be that genre, right? You can't have a song that starts out all jazzy and then you get to the chorus and it becomes like an EDM track, and then in the breakdown it's like a hip-hop beat. You just can't do that. While it might work from like on a commercial release, it might sound good, it's not what somebody is looking for in stock music. Instead, what you're trying to do, like I said with the song structure, is create a consistent song and just create various aspects of it so that an editor could go from the verse to the chorus, or the chorus to the back to the verse or the chorus to the breakdown, and they can take little pieces out and work with them however they want. But if your song is jumping all over the place, an editor is not going to be able to jump from a rock chorus to a EDM breakdown. It's not what they're looking for. You'll be wasting their time, and you'll be wasting your time if you do not keep consistent with your genre. The third point is, and this is hard for me, I think this is hard for everybody, is to make sure that your songs aren't too busy in terms of the amount of everything, really. You don't want too many leads, you don't want too many arpeggios, you just don't want to fill it up too much. You want there to be space. A thing you need to realize is that every single piece of stock music should be able to have a voiceover on it and sound good with that voiceover. And if your song is too busy, that's just not going to be able to happen. There's going to be elements competing with the vocals. This means probably you're not going to be using as many counter melodies. You might just have one simple melody. And the melody is not going to be necessarily full of trills and complex moves. It's going to be much more simple. It's sort of like do 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 do. You might do something like do 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 do. I think I just explained it perfectly there. But if not, again, be sure to download that cheat sheet or that free 5-day course, because that really does get into a lot more detail on the real particulars of all of this. Now, the fourth point, the fourth big mistake I see people make, is really related to the busyness, but it's more of an arrangement perspective. Just like I said that you need to be sure that somebody could easily make a voiceover over any piece of your stock music, so you don't want it to be too busy so it doesn't compete with the voice. You also want to make sure that when you choose your instruments and when you EQ and compress, that you don't fill up sonically the frequency range that a human voice would speak in. That doesn't mean that you're not going to have instruments there, but that's not where you want it to be busy, and you don't want it to be overloaded with high-end content. Some things that can really compete with this are synth leads. That's where I often see problems when I'm reviewing students' work. Another big area can be lead guitar. Rhythm guitar, rhythm chords are fine, but you might often, whether it's synth, piano, guitar, whatever it is, you might want to seriously consider transposing your leads down an octave from where you would normally play them for the purpose of purely commercial music. And similarly, just when you choose the sounds, you want to make sure that they're not overly harsh and, especially maybe 1K to 4K range, you don't want that to be where they really live, because that will compete with vocals. And similarly, just whatever EQ moves you're making, you don't want to load it up with brightness, especially on the master fader. Now, the last mistake I see people make, the fifth mistake, is mindset and just their entire approach to music licensing. A lot of people say, well, I could only make, $50 a month, or I could only make $200 a month, or $400 a month, So what's the point of starting? This isn't a career. The point of starting this isn't that you're going to be making a full-time living licensing music overnight. That's not going to happen. It hasn't happened for me at all. But I have made a lot of money. I've made I made probably close to $20,000 in my 4 years of music licensing, making music part-time in my living room, having fun making music. This is, I'm sure all of you are like this, where, you'd still probably make music 5 or 10 hours a week regardless. I just happen to be able to make music that gets me paid a couple $100s a month. It gets placed on TV and on the radio and listened to and streamed and played in stores. The mindset isn't that you're doing this to change your career, because if that's what you're doing and if that's what you're aiming for, you're going to be disappointed. Even if you have the right music, you have all the skills, you're an incredible songwriter, composer, all of that, it still will take you a couple of years full-time songwriting to build up enough of a catalog and to have your back-end royalties coming in for you to start making something that you could live on. And that's, if you are consistently writing, that's if you can write, a couple hundred songs a year and get those into libraries. Most of us don't have the luxury of either having that much time to write songs, having either that level of songwriting skills or the level of plugins, or even just the producing skills or mixing skills to make songs that consistently get placed. But that doesn't mean that this isn't something you should pursue. You can be wonderfully rewarded with it. You can make good money on the side. You can have fun making music. You can tell your friends, oh yeah, my song was in that TV show. It's cool, it's fun, it's enjoyable, and it will help pay some of your bills. But you have to be motivated by the joy of doing it more than anything. If you're externally motivated just by the money, just by the fun, just by getting placements, you're gonna burn out long before you achieve that success. So you have to be doing it for yourself. I really hope these 5 tips were helpful. If you can think of any other tips that either mistakes you've made or questions you have, just leave them below in the comments. Be sure to sign up for that 5-day course if you haven't already. It's free. You'll learn what you need to know to license your music. And also be sure to like and subscribe for more great content on music licensing, music production, plugins, everything you need. My name's Evan. I'll catch you later. Bye.